Hi everyone, this is Christine. It is Sunday, July 31st, 2016. It's in the evening and I want to share something else that came to me this evening. Okay, I was watching a video and this is a story that I've heard before. It's a recent story because I don't know anything about, or at least I've been learning, but like yoga and Shiva, and Krishna. These are like from India, and it's not Hindu, but it's like Shiva has to do with yoga, and he's a guy who lived many thousands of years ago. He's the first yogi, supposedly. There's a story about these 7 guys. They're called the 7 Maharishis. And Shiva was sitting underneath a tree, meditating, which is just sitting there peacefully and quietly, and he's just not bothering anybody, so he's meditating. And these 7 guys, they have had a feeling that this Shiva guy was somebody special, or at least different, and they wanted to learn from him. Well, Shiva told them to go and prepare themselves, because he wasn't going to just give this information out to anybody. So they went away and they prepared themselves for 84 years. 84 years. And then they came back and he was sitting under the tree. I don't know if it was still or if he had gone away and come back, but he was underneath the tree. He was sitting under the tree. And these 7 guys came back and they had so prepared themselves that they had become like these shining vessels. And Shiva looked at them and realized, well, these guys took me seriously, and they actually went and prepared themselves, their vessels, which is their body. So he decided he was going to share his information. And there's 7 different types of yoga. So he imparted the information of all 7 of these types of yogas, one type to each one person. And these 7 men ended up becoming these 7 Maharishis. And then all 7 of them were dispersed. And they took these different forms of yoga to like the Middle East and several other places around the world. South America, Africa, etc. So, what came to me, because I had heard this story before, but what came to me tonight has not come to me before. So I wanted to share this. Preparing the vessel, which is your body. It's sort of, okay, I'm just going to start at the beginning. It just occurred to me that the story of the 7 Maharishis that came to Shiva at the beginning and wanted to learn from him, but he sent them away so that they would prepare themselves. And they ended up being true and faithful and did prepare themselves for 84 years, and then they came back to Shiva, and he noticed that these 7 had taken his word seriously and had prepared themselves and were enlightened vessels, like they had shining light in them, were beings. So he decided to impart his information to them, one type of yoga to one man, and then he sent them away on their journey to share this information and knowledge that they had learned. Well, what came to me is a person has to, quote unquote, prepare his vessel or his body or his rocket ship, which is what I just spoke about in the previous video. And then the quote unquote download comes. See, these men, these Maharishis, they prepared their bodies, their vessels, the rocket ship, and then Shiva downloaded his information into them. So a person must prepare his body or his vessel first. This is similar to Jesus telling people that you cannot put new wine in old wineskins, meaning new information or new wine into an old wineskin, or into an old way of thinking or an old body. And I'm not talking about age. An old rocket ship, okay? Like one that's falling apart because you haven't maintained it. You, meaning a person, must make it new, their rocket ship or their vessel, and enlighten themselves, by preparing your body for the new information. Then the new information comes. Okay, there's something else that's coming to me. Now, some of this is going to be a little, or a lot risky, because it's going to be, there's a little bit of sexual talk in here, but I'll try to keep it clean. Something else is coming to me. If we are vessels, and vessels are receptive, because if you think about it, a cup is a vessel, a vase is a vessel, and a bowl is a vessel, and it receives water or whatever you want to put in it, but it receives. So if we're vessels, our bodies are vessels, or rocket ships in this case, for the example I was using, and a vessel is receptive, or they receive, what else in this world receives? Women do. A woman's sexual organs receive a man's sexual organs. What is coming to me is that all of mankind may actually be feminine. So maybe the divine or God is actually masculine, but it gives, or because it gives, and we, mankind, receive. Because the masculine gives, the feminine receives. So we receive when our body or our mind and emotions are prepared and are receptive, because we prepared ourselves. I know the divine or God has to have both sides to it, masculine and feminine, because it understands both masculine and feminine personality traits. So it has to have both sides to it. No wonder a person can be, quote unquote, high on life, when they're doing their meditation and they feel like they've contacted the divine inside of themselves. If the divine has come into them, they can be high on life, which is something that a lot of people who meditate claim to be. It is like when a man and woman come together sexually, that will give a person a quote-unquote high also. And I'm sorry for being so descriptive, but I think I am understanding this. There's something else that's coming to me. If the divine is the man, quote-unquote, and he puts his seed in you, spiritual seed, in the human vessel, and that is how you become enlightened, but also one with it. And that is how you become a tree or a plant in the garden. Because the divine's seed gets put in you, and then you start to blossom. Just like how a woman, quote-unquote, blossoms with a new baby in her when a man's seed is put in her. This is making total sense to me now. I feel like I'm figuring it out, but at the same time, I don't want to figure it out or rationalize about it, because when a man and a woman are in a sexual act, you're not thinking, or they are not usually thinking, they're just feeling and are going with the flow of the moment. When you start thinking, it sort of kills the mood, So don't try to think this one through. Just figure it out. Just let it flow. Just go with it. And don't kill the mood with the divine. Just let things develop and happen naturally. Let quote-unquote him, the divine, come to you on its own. All you have to do is prepare yourself for receptivity. Prepare your rocket ship, prepare your body, just as a woman would prepare herself for her first night with her husband. Clean and wash yourself both inside and out, spiritually. Clear your mind, your thoughts, your emotions, etc. Clean your vessel. It has to be cleansed, and then you have your night with him. And when his seed is put in you, that is when the enlightenment, quote-unquote, and the growth happens in you. The growth meaning the baby, or the fruit tree in this case, because we're told to be fruitful and multiply. That is when you, quote-unquote, shoot up to the stars and can be high on life all the time. Sex will do that to a person, and spiritual sex, well, who knows where that will shoot a person to. I don't even want to think about it, because it probably is on a much grander scale than anything the physical body could experience. Okay, I think I'm getting a little too graphic now, so I will stop and spare everyone the awkwardness and descriptive details in talking about this. Sorry. But I think I get how all of this is going to transpire, or does transpire in people, and it makes total sense. No wonder there is a physical sexual act. It is just a sample and an example of what is really supposed to happen between the physical body and the spiritual divine seed. A person gets enlightened when they become, quote-unquote, spiritually pregnant. And that is how a person, quote-unquote, bears fruit and becomes a fruitful tree. They need the seed first to even get planted in them, and then that only comes from divine intimacy with him, or it, the divine. But the vessel or the body must be prepared first for receptivity. It's the new wineskin. Oh yes, this is like playing with the TV antenna, because there's been an analogy about that. You know how in the old days you had those metal antennas on the roof of your house, and if the antenna was a little bit off, you'd get the snow on your TV. But if you went upstairs and you just tweaked the antenna a little bit, all of a sudden the TV station would come back in. Well, that's sort of what's going on here. The bride makes herself receptive. That's like tweaking the antennas. She, or the vessel, the person is the bride, and your husband, the divine, will come into you, into your sitting room, into your TV through the antenna, because you've made yourself receptive. And then you will have intimacy and spend the night together with him. It's incredible. This is why the Bible talks about being fruitful and multiply. I think this is what it meant. It was not just talking about procreating and bringing forth physical human beings. It was telling people to become spiritual fruit-bearing trees or people. And the fruit of the Spirit is love, joy, peace. It's understanding and mercy. Those are added in, but I think you understand what I'm getting at. It all makes sense now, and I can't believe it. But I'm thankful at the same time to the divine for, I think, showing this to me. So I just wanted to share, because maybe it will help somebody else. Sorry again for the graphic details, but if this makes sense, then I'm happy if it can help. So that's what came to me tonight as well, or this afternoon, evening, whatever. So I just wanted to share, and once again, I hope everyone's having a great day, and I will talk to you again soon in the next video, whenever that is. Okay, bye-bye.